Welcome back, dear listeners. I want to take you on a journey, not just of fortune and fame, but of forgotten bonds and second chances. It's a story that asks a powerful question. What if the person who once saved you from breaking was now the one quietly breaking behind a coffee counter? In this heartfelt story of reconnection, betrayal, and rebuilding, you'll meet Liam, a young CEO, and Rosa, the barista who once held his world together. Stay with us as we uncover how the smallest act of love can ignite a legacy far greater than wealth. Let's begin. The scent of burnt espresso beans and cinnamon lingered in the air like a faded memory as Liam Carter pushed open the door to a rundown cafe tucked between a pawn shop and a laundromat. The bell above the door jingled half-heartedly, echoing through the near-empty space. It was the kind of place no one with a $250,000 wristwatch would walk into, and yet here he was. He needed a break from the glossy meetings and hollow congratulations. Ever since selling his startup last month, people had looked at him like a walking bank account. Visionary, prodigy, but no one asked how he was sleeping, or if he was sleeping at all. The cafe's walls were painted a tired shade of green. A single flickering bulb near the back buzzed overhead. A college kid with headphones was hunched over a laptop in the corner. An old man stirred his coffee, staring blankly at the rain outside. And then he saw her, behind the counter, wearing a black apron dusted with flour and dried milk, stood a woman whose profile struck him like a lightning bolt to the chest. Her dark hair, once silky and rich, was now streaked with gray and tied into a loose bun. Her movements were slower, more careful, like every shift cost her something. But her eyes, God, those eyes. Rosa. Liam didn't realize he'd stepped closer until he was already standing at the counter, his heart jackhammering against his ribs. "Can I help you?" Her voice was soft but tired, like a melody half-forgotten. He stared. "Rosa." She blinked. Her eyes narrowed, then widened. The coffee mug in her hand trembled slightly. "Liam." He nodded, stunned. "It's been a while." Her breath caught. Her mouth opened, but words failed her. She set the mug down, wiped her hands on her apron, and stared at him like she wasn't sure he was real. "You're so grown." "I guess that happens," he said with an awkward smile. "I was just driving by. Thought I'd grab a coffee." Rosa looked at him, really looked at him, and something in her shoulders tensed. "My shift ends in 20. Wait outside." Liam nodded, throat tight. He walked back out into the drizzle and leaned against the brick wall, rain spotting his blazer. The street hummed with passing cars, but in his chest, the silence was deafening. Rosa Delgado, the woman who once taught him how to make grilled cheese without burning the pan, who read him The Velveteen Rabbit when his mother forgot he had a bedtime, who called him mi-sol when his father yelled too loud. And now she was here, in a crumbling cafe, pouring lattes. Something wasn't right, and Liam Carter, whether she wanted it or not, was going to find out why. The rain had turned into a soft mist by the time Rosa stepped out. She wore a thin gray coat, fraying at the sleeves, and wrapped her arms tightly across her chest. Not from the cold, but from something deeper, a defense she hadn't needed in years. Until now. Liam stood straighter when he saw her. "Hey!" he said gently, as if trying not to scare away a deer. Rosa gave a nod, curt and unreadable. "Walk with me." They moved down the sidewalk in silence, their footsteps echoing off wet pavement. Liam tried not to stare, but every time he glanced at her, the memories returned. Her singing while she made breakfast, her voice whispering comfort during storms, her arms pulling him close when his parents forgot his 10th birthday. "You haven't changed much," he said finally, offering a hesitant smile. Rosa gave a soft laugh. "Liam, I look like I've aged a decade for everyone you've lived. Don't flatter me." He winced. "That's not what I didn't mean it that way." She waved a hand. "I'm just surprised to see you here." "Yeah, me too." He paused. I don't know. I figured you had your own life. Something better than this." He motioned vaguely behind them toward the cafe. "That cafe keeps me alive," she said sharply. "I didn't mean." I know what you meant, Rosa said, then sighed. Sorry, I'm just tired. Long day. They stopped at a bench beneath a street lamp. Rosa sat, exhaling slowly, while Liam remained standing, unsure whether to push or to retreat. Can I ask something? He said. Rosa looked up, her breath curling in the cool night air. You came all this way, might as well. What happened? He asked, voice softer now. Why did you disappear? She laughed bitterly. You think I wanted to leave? You didn't say goodbye. No, she said, her voice tight. Because I wasn't allowed to. Liam blinked. What? Rosa looked away, hands clenching in her lap. When you turned 12, your father decided I was too close to you. Said I was interfering with how he wanted to raise his son. I got a notice from a lawyer. 2 weeks severance. Told me to never contact you again. And I didn't want to ruin what little peace you had. So I stayed away. He felt his stomach twist. Rosa, I didn't know. I thought. I know what you thought. That I moved on. That I just vanished. She shook her head. I tried calling. Wrote letters. Your father made sure none of them got through. Liam sank beside her, suddenly cold to the bone. I'm sorry. I was just a kid. I didn't know what to. You don't need to apologize for being 12, she said, softer now. But you're not 12 anymore, are you? No, he said quietly. I'm not. They sat in silence, the distant sound of sirens mixing with the steady patter of light rain. Finally, Liam turned to her. Let me help you. Rosa's expression hardened instantly. I don't need charity. This isn't charity. It's gratitude. She studied him, eyes sharp. What kind of help are we talking? A job. A better one. A new place to live. Medical insurance. Whatever you need. Rosa stood, suddenly furious. You think you can fix everything with a credit card and a pity offer? Liam stood too, stunned. That's not what You don't get to walk into my life after 12 years with a clean suit and a fat wallet and play savior, she snapped. I'm not broken. I'm tired. And I'm hurt. But I'm not a project. I know, Liam said quietly. I want to make things right. She looked at him then, for a long moment. The storm in her eyes began to settle. You can't rewrite the past, Liam, she said. But maybe you can learn from it. She walked away, leaving him alone under the street lamp, the mist soaking into his collar, and a truth weighing heavy on his heart. He hadn't come to rescue Rosa. He'd come to find himself. The next morning, Liam sat on the edge of his hotel bed, staring at the cold coffee in his hand. The city skyline glinted through the window behind him, but the view felt hollow. His phone buzzed every few minutes. Texts from investors, articles praising his latest exit, congratulatory emails from people he barely knew. He ignored them all. His thoughts were still with Rosa. He remembered the last time he'd seen her, before she vanished. She had hugged him tighter than usual that morning, whispering, "Never forget your worth, me soul." Then she disappeared like a ghost in the night, and his world had become sharper, colder. He had to know more, not just what happened to her, but why. If his father had been behind it, and he had no doubt now, then maybe there was more she hadn't told him. Things she protected him from. He opened his laptop and pulled up the Carter family's legal records. His father had always kept everything on file, obsessively. After his death, the estate had passed to Liam. He still hadn't gone through most of it. It didn't take long. Under archived legal documents, he found a scanned letter, a non-disclosure agreement dated 12 years ago. The recipient, Rosa Delgado. His jaw tightened. It included language about termination due to emotional overattachment, and a clause that blacklisted her from working with any minor associated with the Carter Foundation or affiliates. The real dagger, though, was at the bottom. An internal memo from the family attorney, typed and cold. Ensure Ms. Delgado is not rehired or recommended within any Carter-affiliated network. Her influence over the boy is a liability. Liam leaned back in his chair, heart pounding. They'd exiled her, not just fired her. They'd burned every bridge, poisoned every well. And she had never told him. Not once. Later that day, he returned to the café. It was quieter than before, with just a couple of regulars seated near the window. Rosa stood behind the counter, sleeves rolled up, pouring milk into a steaming pitcher. She looked up and saw him. For a moment, her expression was unreadable. Then she gave a small nod. "You again," she said as he approached. "I come bearing lattes," he replied, holding up 2 to-go cups from the trendy cafe down the block. She smirked. "You brought me coffee? From another cafe? Don't take it personally," he said, grinning. "Yours burns my tongue." Rosa chuckled. "Fair." They stepped outside, sat on the same bench as before. The sky was gray and low, heavy with unshed rain. "I found something," Liam said, tone shifting. "A document from my father's attorney." Her smile faded. She looked away. "You weren't just let go, Rosa. You were blacklisted." "I know," she said quietly. "I lived it. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it wouldn't have changed anything," she said. "Your father was powerful, rich, connected. I was me. That doesn't make it right." "No," she agreed. "It just made it real." Liam clenched his fists. "They had no right to destroy your life." Rosa glanced at him. "That's what people like your father did. They decided what was inconvenient, and they removed it." "But I'm not him," Liam said. Rosa studied him for a long moment. "No," she said softly. "You're not." A gust of wind swept past them. Liam turned toward her, determination in his eyes. "I want to help you, not because I pity you, but because I owe you the truth and a future." She raised an eyebrow. "And what does that look like?" He took a breath. "Let me build something with you, for people like you. People who were pushed aside and never got back up because no one reached out a hand." "You mean, like a foundation?" "Yes, one you helped design, one you lead." Rosa looked at him like he'd just suggested she fly to Mars. "I'm not a leader," she said. "You are to me," Liam replied. "You always were." And for the first time in 12 years, Rosa Delgado didn't look tired. She looked like someone who had just remembered what hope felt like. Rosa stared into the distance, lips slightly parted. As if the wind had just whispered a challenge she wasn't sure she wanted to answer. The idea of building something, of leading something, felt surreal. For years she had been surviving, keeping her head down, paying rent, filling coffee cups and scraping by. Now this young man, no, this boy she once raised, now a millionaire CEO, was asking her to stand up again. Not as a favor, but as a partner. Rosa shook her head slowly. "You don't get it, Liam. I make $12 an hour. I haven't written a resume in 15 years. I don't even own a laptop." "That's okay," Liam said softly. "I'm not asking for credentials. I'm asking for your story, your voice, your values." Rosa let out a slow breath, hugging her coat tighter around her. "Even if I said yes, what would it look like? What would we even do?" Liam sat forward, his elbows on his knees, eyes alight with something she hadn't seen in him since he was a child: fire. "I want to start small. A local initiative. We help women like you, former caregivers, teachers, workers who were let go unjustly and never recovered. We help them restart with training, counseling, and job placement." Rosa blinked, overwhelmed. "And we name it after you," Liam continued, "because the truth is, the only reason I survived my childhood, the only reason I became the man I am, is because of you." Rosa laughed dryly. "You want to name a foundation after a tired waitress who raised someone else's kid? I want to name it after the woman who never gave up," he said. They sat in silence again. Rosa's hands trembled slightly, not from the cold, but from something deeper: doubt, fear, possibility. Then she asked, "Would I have to talk to reporters?" Liam chuckled. "Only if you want to." She eyed him. "And no office with floor-to-ceiling windows and espresso machines I can't pronounce? Promise." Rosa smiled faintly. "Okay, but if we do this..." "When?" he interrupted. She rolled her eyes. "If we do this, I set the terms. We build slow, focus on real people, no buzzwords, No charity for show. Deal, Liam said, extending his hand. She stared at it for a moment, then shook it. His hand was warm, firm, and it reminded her of when he was 5, and he'd insisted on holding hers during every thunderstorm. "You've grown up," she whispered. "And you're not done yet," he said. 2 weeks later, they sat in a small office Liam had rented near the edge of downtown. A modest space with peeling paint and second-hand desks. No glass walls. No private elevators. Just purpose. Rosa came with a notebook full of ideas and a pencil tucked behind her ear. Liam brought his laptop and 2 cups of coffee. "I made a list," Rosa said, flipping through her notes, "of the people we could reach. There's Maria. She used to be a teacher until she was laid off and couldn't find work again. And Nia. She's a single mom who works nights at the shelter." Liam listened intently, typing silently as Rosa spoke, her voice growing steadier with each name. "See?" he said when she paused to catch her breath. "You're already doing the work." She gave him a look. "I just care. That's all. And that's more than enough," he said. They worked until the sun dipped below the horizon, their little office glowing with desk lamp light and quiet ambition. By the time they locked up that night, Rosa didn't feel like a tired waitress anymore. She felt like someone waking up after a long, hard sleep. The foundation was beginning to take shape. They called it the Delgado Initiative, despite Rosa's protests. "It sounds like a space mission," she joked the first time she saw the name printed on the folder. "That's the point," Liam replied. "We're reaching for something bigger." They started with a skeleton crew, Rosa, Liam, and a part-time volunteer named Mika who used to tutor at a community center. Rosa insisted on handwritten intake forms at first, saying people felt more comfortable putting their names down on paper than typing into some digital abyss. Each day, Rosa's presence grew louder, steadier. She learned to use spreadsheets. She coordinated food drives and housing referrals. She called back every missed number and followed up on every desperate letter. But Liam, he wasn't sleeping well. The more they built, the more he felt the itch to look backward. Rosa had never once asked him to go after the people who'd hurt her. She seemed satisfied just moving forward. But Liam wasn't, because someone had signed off on her blacklisting. Someone had paid to erase her presence. And if the check he'd found in his father's legal files was forged, if she never saw the settlement money, then who took it? That afternoon, while Rosa was out delivering blankets to a shelter across town, Liam sat in the foundation's back room. Once a storage closet, now his makeshift office. Scrolling through old financial logs, he narrowed his search to the year Rosa was fired. There it was, a transaction labeled Settlement Delgado for $40,000, wired to a private account through a third-party trust. The signature attached? R. Delgado. Only it wasn't her handwriting. Not even close. He clicked deeper. The trustee who authorized the release? Gerald F. Roth. Liam froze. Mr. Roth had been the Carter family's lead attorney for nearly 2 decades. He was the same man who drafted the NDA Rosa never signed. The same man who helped seal her fate. And apparently, the man who pocketed her silence. Liam's hands trembled on the keyboard. His throat felt dry. This wasn't just legal malpractice. It was theft. Personal. Intentional. And he'd let it sit buried for years. He printed the files, shoved them into a folder, and waited. When Rosa returned later that night, damp from the rain, Liam was still sitting at the desk, the folder unopened before him. "You okay?" she asked, noticing his expression. He didn't answer right away, just looked up at her like he wasn't sure how to say it. "Rosa," he began, his voice low, "did you ever receive a settlement from my family?" Her brow furrowed. "What? A check? A wire? Anything with your name on it? After you were fired?" She shook her head. "No, they offered me something once. I tore it up." He slid the folder across the desk. "Someone forged your signature and took it anyway." She opened it slowly, scanning the pages. Her hands started to shake. This isn't mine." "I know." Her jaw clenched. "Mr. Roth." Liam nodded. "I knew he hated me," she whispered. He always looked at me like I was trash. You weren't, Liam said. You never were. Rosa closed the folder, her knuckles white. So what do we do now? She asked. Liam looked her in the eye. We burn the legacy down. 3 days later, Liam Carter walked through the gleaming marble lobby of Carter and Roth Law with a folder in his hand and fury in his chest. He hadn't been here in years. Everything looked the same. The gold-plated name etched on the wall, the scent of lemon polish, the cold air conditioning that tried to chill your bones into submission. His father had always said, "A good legal team is like a sword, shiny, sharp, and always pointed away from you." Liam had never wanted to carry that sword, but today he was here to bury it. The receptionist smiled, robotic and polite. "Do you have an appointment, Mr. Carter?" "No," Liam said, his tone crisp, "but I believe Gerald Roth will want to see me." He didn't wait for a reply. He pushed through the glass doors and into Roth's office, where the man himself sat behind a desk made of imported Italian walnut, scrolling through a document on his screen. "Liam," Roth said, startled. "This is unexpected." Liam placed the folder on his desk with a dull thud. "Read it." Roth raised an eyebrow, flipping it open. As his eyes moved down the page, his expression shifted. First to confusion, then to recognition, then to something colder. "I see," Roth said. "You've been digging. I found forged documents, misappropriated funds, and character defamation, all with your name on it." Roth leaned back in his leather chair, composed. "That was a long time ago, Liam. And somehow that makes it okay?" Liam's voice cracked with restrained anger. "You stole from her. You destroyed her career. You signed her name and pocketed her silence. I did what your father asked." "I'm not my father," Liam snapped. "No," Roth said, standing slowly, smoothing his tie. "You're idealistic. That makes you dangerous in this business." Liam stepped forward, slamming his hand on the desk. "This isn't business. It's personal." Roth didn't flinch. "Then what? You want me to step down? Apologize? I want you gone. I want your license. I want your name off everything I own. And if I see a single retaliatory move, I will leak this to every media outlet in the country." A long pause filled the room, heavy as wet concrete. Finally, Roth sighed. "You've grown a spine." "No," Liam said. "I finally remembered who taught me to stand." He turned and walked out, leaving the door open behind him. Back at the foundation, Rosa was organizing job fair flyers when Liam returned. He said nothing as he entered, just walked over and handed her a new folder. "Roth resigned this morning," he said. "Effective immediately." She didn't open the folder. "Did you do it for me?" "I did it because I should have done it years ago." Rosa nodded once. "Thank you." He hesitated. "There's more." She looked up. "I've been liquidating the parts of Carter Enterprises tied to my father's legacy. Every dirty deal, every silent buyout. We're funneling the money into Delgado Initiative. And I'm stepping away from the Carter brand entirely." Rosa sat down slowly, stunned. "You're giving it up?" "I don't want their empire," he said. "I want to build my own with clean hands. With you." She covered her mouth, breath hitching. "Liam." He smiled gently. "I'm not fixing you, Rosa. I'm freeing me." She stood and pulled him into a hug. Tight, grounding, warm. The kind of hug only Rosa Delgado could give. The kind that told Liam he was exactly where he was supposed to be. A year later, the old café where Rosa had once poured lattes and mopped floors was gone. In its place stood a vibrant new space with soft amber lighting, shelves filled with donated books, and the comforting hum of espresso machines and laughter. Hand-painted letters above the door spelled, "The Delgado House, Coffee, Hope, and Second Chances." It was the first of many. Inside, volunteers bustled between tables, offering job coaching and resume help. Young mothers sat in corners chatting with caseworkers. High school dropouts practiced typing. And behind the counter, in an apron that said "Lead with Love," Rosa Delgado poured a cappuccino for a man shaking from his first job interview. Liam stood in the back, leaning against a wooden post, watching. Rosa was in her element, commanding, calm, radiant. She wasn't a relic of the past anymore. She was the future, his future. She caught his eye from across the room and smiled. "You're not hiding back there again, are you?" she called, grinning. "I'm observing," he replied, walking toward her. "You used to hide behind potted plants, remember? When I didn't want to go to piano lessons. Or when your father came home," she said quietly. They stood in silence for a beat, the air between them thick with things they no longer needed to say. "Did I ever tell you?" Rosa said, looking around the cafe. "I used to imagine this place in my dreams, a place where people didn't feel small, where they were seen." Liam's voice was soft. "And now you made it real." She reached out, adjusting the collar of his shirt like she did when he was a boy. "We made it real." He looked around, at the photos of the first 10 graduates from their job program, the corkboard filled with thank you notes, the mural of a phoenix on the back wall painted by a teenage girl they'd helped off the streets. "This is better than any tech company I ever built," he said. Rosa smirked. "Because you built it with heart, not code." He chuckled. "You always did say that's where strength lives." She tapped his chest, just like she used to. Still true. Outside, the first snow of the season began to fall, dusting the windows in soft white. Inside, the warmth pulsed from more than just heaters. It came from connection, purpose, and the quiet magic of redemption. Rosa poured herself a cup of coffee and leaned beside him. "So," she said, "what's next?" Liam looked around, thoughtful. "More," he said. "More places like this. More voices like yours. More days like today." She raised her cup. "To the second act." He raised his. "To the one who wrote the first." They clinked mugs. And in the heart of a city that had once forgotten them both, they remembered who they were, and who they still had time to become. Together, 2 years later, a young woman stepped into the Delgado house, soaking wet from the rain and clutching a worn-out backpack. Her eyes darted around nervously as she scanned the room full of strangers. Rosa noticed her immediately. She walked over with a gentle smile and a warm towel. "First time here?" The girl nodded. "Good," Rosa said, "because we specialize in first times." She led her to a corner table where someone was reviewing job applications and offered her a hot cocoa on the house. From a distance, Liam watched the exchange, his heart full. Since they opened the first Delgado house, 12 more had followed. One in every major city, each one rooted in the same principles: dignity, second chances, and human connection. Liam no longer appeared on magazine covers. He didn't care. What mattered now were the stories he witnessed every day. The single father who found work after sleeping in his car. The elderly woman who started a literacy class for neighbors. The shy teenager who became a barista and now trained others with quiet pride. And Rosa, she remained the heart of it all. Not as a symbol, but as a builder, a listener, a force of quiet, stubborn hope. Sometimes Liam wondered what his father would say if he saw what his legacy had become. But then he'd remember, this was never his father's legacy. It was Rosa's, and it was Liam's. Not forged through power or profit, but through every life they touched. Because in the end, it wasn't about money. It was about a boy who found his way home, and the woman who never stopped waiting for him to arrive. Before we close, let's take a moment to pray. May we all be protected from arrogance and misjudgment, and may we all be protected from harm and injustice in our daily lives. May this story inspire us to treat others with empathy, no matter what they look like or where they come from. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more meaningful stories. Let us know in the comments. Have you ever surprised someone with your hidden strength? We'd love to hear your story. Thank you for listening, and remember, the strongest people often look like the quietest ones. Until next time, stay strong, stay humble, and stay true.